for today what this next big federal government regulation means to your business, how you can get into compliance with this latest requirement. So first, let's introduce us. We're Lotus Management Services. We were founded in 2012. We have an extensive background working with medium-sized companies. We are also third-party security audited. And we have experience working with internal IT departments and other providers. Actually, I've been working with the internal IT departments for a number of years, probably about 8 years now, maybe a little bit longer. Who am I? My name is Curtis Partridge, Senior Systems Engineer. Been with the company since day one, a co-founder of Lotus Management Services, along with Maria Partridge. But I've worked in the computer field as a professional for the last 24 years. Prior to that, I did other work, but was working in IT on the side as well. So what is a safeguard rule? Let's dive into that. Federal Trade Commission has put together the safeguard rule in safeguarding customer information. Actually, law went back into effect all the way back in 2003, but in 2021, the standards were updated, and that's because to address the modern threat landscape. As you may have probably noticed, a lot of companies have been breached in the last few years, releasing a lot of customer private information. Federal Trade Commission wanted to get involved and develop a system where automobile or companies, I should say, are protecting that data more carefully. Now, non-compliance, June 10th, we're not going to see the FTC police pull up in your parking lot, but if you have a breach after June 9th, it could mean a lot of things, such as a hefty fine, class action lawsuits. This law opens up that your business to that. And in severe cases, we could see imprisonment. Now, again, compliance is required by June 9th, 2023. So who must comply? Automobile dealerships, credit counselors, collection agencies, pretty much anybody that works with consumer information. A lot of people think, well, I don't deal with it directly. We're kind of a pass-through. Well, at some point you did collect that information and it was likely stored in their systems. And we'll get into what you need to do to protect that information as we move through. Essentially, as I mentioned, any business that charges a fee to connect buyers with consumers or loans with lenders and is involved in any financial transactions between these parties. And there is a new financial institution category defined as finders by the Federal Trade Commission. And the FTC would love to broaden this definition even more and pull more businesses into that list that we showed you. And the reason is it comes down to securing customer information. To ensure the security of customer info, implement safeguards against anticipated threats to customer information, and then prevent unauthorized access to information systems linked to customer information. So grab a pencil. We're going to run through the 5 steps to compliance. So number 1, you need to designate a qualified individual. This is an official title for a person overseeing the implementation of a customer information security program. Now, this can be an internal person, or you can put this out and outsource it to an outside individual who's experienced in security issues when it comes to data. Number 2, you need to identify all internal and external threats, and beware third-party vendors must be part of your analysis. Well, some of the things that they're going to look at is data retention. The Federal Information Security Management Act of 2002, FISMA, minimum of 3 years. North American Electric Reliability Corporation has 3 to 6 years. HIPAA, 6 years. Sarbanes-Oxley, 7 years. So these are how long data needs to be retained in your system and protected. Next thing you need to do is map the flow of customer data. You have to address the entire life cycle of each customer data category, noting where it's collected, transmitted, stored, and destroyed. Now, the FTC is particularly concerned with the security of highly sensitive financial information. Think Social Security numbers, credit card numbers. Your data map should also include general contact information since it can be used in phishing campaigns preceding security incidents at other companies. So those are some things that you need to look out for. Number 4, evaluate your security posture with risk assessments. Now, you need to find an assessment that's easy to read at a glance, but also offers in-depth data for your IT professionals. So ultimately, you need someone that can come in and translate this from IT gobbledygook to business actions you need to take to protect the data. And this should be an ongoing risk assessment that is done every quarter. And then you sit down and review that information and see what needs to be fixed. Now, you'll say to yourself, if this has been set up and is operating correctly, why do we need to check it every quarter? And the reason being is that the data, not the data, but the systems that store the data change over time. And the reason that they change is there's updates. Now, it could be updates that improve usability, reliability, but likely these are updates to cover vulnerabilities that have been discovered in the software. Every single day, vulnerabilities are discovered by researchers. These researchers make money doing this. It's their job, and they do important work. And then the software companies have to come in and patch those issues that are found. Don't forget, if the researchers didn't find these problems, the criminals likely would. And sometimes the criminals do find these problems first. So that's why things are constantly changing. There's new risks that pop up on the map. And then also we've got this ever-changing software environment that we're dealing with. Plus hardware gets changed over time. Firmware in hardware, the software that runs the hardware gets updated as well. All right, we've gotten to step 5. You need a capable internal cybersecurity team that can deploy necessary remediation responses for each risk. Now, we just talked about those risks and assessing them. And now we need to have someone in place who's qualified to remediate those risks. Some of the things that would need to be implemented would be multi-factor authentication, making sure that all customer data is encrypted and the keys are stored securely for that encryption, the passwords, if you will. Also, network segmentation, continuous monitoring, looking for issues in the network. We come across this on occasion where we've been monitoring a network and find a bad actor who's made access to the network. Written incident response plan, and zero trust architecture. So meaning you want to build your systems or enable your systems so that there is no trust of anyone other than what's approved. So in other words, we would write policies based on what software is used. Anything that's not used would not be approved. In other words, zero trust. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. Managed detection and response is the next generation of managed security service. So we used to think about antivirus software back in the day. Well, we've then moved into EDR and now managed detection and response. So it was enhanced, and now we've moved to manage. And the only way to do this well is with a 24/7 team of dedicated and experienced analysts looking at situations. And they initially use threat detection, and then the alert the team that move into a threat hunting and active response so that they can respond. Essentially, it comes down to a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week security operations center that understand the movements of adversaries and how to secure networks in real time. Well, the best way to get started, you got to start somewhere. You got to take step 1. And the best way to do that is with a free third-party FTC safeguard rule readiness assessment. Now, you may have been told by someone you're ready, you're assessed. Maybe your IT team has told you that. But we look at it like this. Are you really can someone trust or check their own work? If you have an important proposal you're putting together, I'm sure you floated by a coworker to see if you've misspelled anything, said anything incorrectly. It's the same thing. It's proofreading their work. You can go to lotusbusinesstech.com/assessment to sign up for this assessment. Now, we're getting very close, as you can imagine. We're also getting very busy in doing these assessments. So they're very much in demand right now. So if you would like to get involved in this, please sign up sooner rather than later. Now, you may be asking yourself, am I the right person for this? I mean, is this my job? I've got IT people to handle this. But here's the thing. Keeping your company as secure is everyone's responsibility, even if it's just taking the simple steps I shared with you earlier in this session. And ultimately, if something happens, who are they going to be looking for? Yes, they're going to be looking for you, not the IT people. So you might be asking yourself, are you completely protected? And again, you may want to ask, does your IT department need to be involved in this? Again, hackers are not going to call ahead and let your IT department know they're going to hack your systems. So we would like to run the scan and then share the information with the IT department. Now, we're not going to need any administrative credentials. We're not going to install anything. What we will do is analyze your network and then meet with you and review those results and see what you need to do to get into compliance with this expanded safeguard rule. And again, lotusbusinesstech.com/assessment is where you can sign up for that. Now, you may be asking yourself, why are you doing this? What's the catch? Well, as I mentioned, it goes a lot of demand for this, and we typically only have time to do about 5 of these free assessments per month. So you need to sign up sooner rather than later. But the bigger why of why we're doing it, we've teamed up with a number of companies to develop this assessment. And there's about 80 of us that get together every week. And what we are doing, it's actually Thursday. So we'll be getting together later this afternoon. But we have made a pledge to protect 1 million people. We're about 10% of the way there. So we still have a lot of work to do, but this is how we get out and meet people and show them where they're coming up short is through these assessments. So once again, you can get this free third-party safeguard rule readiness assessment. It's easy enough to sign up. It's easy enough to do. It's about a 25-minute phone call. We'll ask a series of questions. We'll have you click a link, and that's it. You don't install anything. You don't need administrative credentials. And a couple of days later, we'll sit down with you and do a review. We just did one earlier this week. I talked to him on Friday. We clicked the links. We submitted to the analyst, and the Tuesday afternoon, we reviewed the results with the business owner. So again, lotusbusinesstech.com/assessment. Don't wait to get signed up for this. We'll have just limited number of these we'll be able to do between now and June 9th. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time to attend our webinar today.